So we're alive. Kenn Rashad with a brand new edition, a pop-up edition, a midnight edition of HBCU Sports Live. The show where we discuss the latest news related to the HBCU landscape. You can stay up to date by visiting us on the web at hbcusports.com and by following us on the social media networks, social media platforms on Twitter at HBCU Sports, on Facebook at Real HBCU Sports, on Instagram at HBCU_sports. And you can also follow us on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe. We're trying to grow the platform. And while you're in such a supportive matter, by all means, take a moment to visit us on our donation page at hbcusports.com and donate, as those funds will be used to expand our coverage, expand our resources, and to ultimately give you better coverage in the process. So just when you thought today might have been a typical Friday, it was not typical, given everything that has transpired with the MEAC in making the decision to cancel, or should I say suspend its fall sports for 2020. We pretty much had some idea of what the SWAC was going to do with respect to the meeting that is scheduled for Monday. And the reason why that's important, I mean, there had been no official word coming from the SWAC. People were obviously speculating that, maybe the SWAC is going to take this approach and they are going to likely suspend fall sports as well. But again, it was reported and it was pretty much understood for those of us who kind of follow the SWAC religiously, if you will, that Commissioner Charles McClellan and the SWAC Council of Presidents were going to have a meeting to determine the fate of the fall sports for 2020. Then a guy by the name of Brett McMurphy of the Stadium Network happened. Around 4:00 today, he tweeted out, and I quote, I'm reading this tweet: Southwestern Athletic Conference will announce Monday it is canceling fall sports. Sources told Stadium. SWAC is latest FCS league that won't play football in the fall. Needless to say, that information didn't sit very well with SWAC Commissioner Charles McClellan, because immediately after that tweet was released by Brett McMurphy, he basically went on a media tour. He spoke with Perrin Keys at the Advocate. He spoke with a number of media outlets all throughout the state and basically made it clear. And his quote was, "No decision had been made yet." And he said, "Whoever put that report out is 100% not accurate. Although I cannot say how our presidents will vote Monday." And if that wasn't enough, Grambling State put out an official release via Twitter, in which they indicated Grambling State has not released any decisions concerning our fall 2020 sports schedule. The SWAC Council of Presidents have a scheduled meeting with our SWAC commissioner on Monday, July 20th, to continue discussions about fall sports. Then there was a report by WAFB, who also indicated that Southern University Athletic Director Roman Baints pretty much echoed the same thing in stating that there had been no official decision made, and that the decision as to the fate of the fall sports for the SWAC would be determined on Monday. Now, obviously, we put our report because obviously when something like this comes up, and I guess I don't know a whole lot about Brett McMurphy. I don't, I just don't know anything about him. And I'll admit that it was somewhat kind of odd for someone who doesn't necessarily have a reputation for covering SWAC sports would make this report. Not saying that he's not capable of doing it, but it appeared to be pretty odd, and that the source appeared to be somewhat awkward that he would make such a statement. But I guess, given his overall credentials, people kind of took it for what it was worth and they ran with it. And a number of media outlets reported it. And this is where we are now. Now, why is this important? And let me tell you why I think this is important and why I felt it was necessary to discuss this. I don't know anything. I want to make this clear. I haven't talked to anyone. I don't know anything about, I don't have any inside information. I haven't spoken with anybody on the SWAC Council of Presidents. I don't know anything. This is just a guess of what I think is going to come out of all of this. Given what has happened with the MEAC, and that it has officially announced that it is going to postpone fall sports for 2020, that obviously forced John Grant of the Celebration Bowl to announce that the Celebration Bowl and the MEAC SWAC Challenge would be canceled. The MEAC SWAC Challenge was supposed to feature Grambling and South Carolina State. That's not going to happen, obviously. So with respect to the SWAC, in terms of the decisions that it has, keep in mind, and I want you to follow me on this, because I think it's important. About a month ago to the day, SWAC Commissioner Charles McClellan indicated that the SWAC had a drop dead date of October 17th. That if no fall sports would be played by October 17th, there would be no fall sports. July, we got 2 months? July, August, September, October, 3 months. 3 months. And given where we are right now with this pandemic, and there isn't anything promising at this point that would give us any indication that we are going to be in a position to where we can safely, keyword safely, have sports without endangering the lives of the individuals involved. There's still some time. What we're witnessing is clearly a cultural thing here. The CAA announced that it's canceling fall sports. Obviously, the MEAC determined that it was canceling fall sports. The Ivy League has determined that it's canceling fall sports. Obviously, the Power 5 conferences have made some announcements. The Pac-12 and the Big Ten are going to play conference schedules. Tennessee State has indicated that it's going to play an all-conference schedule, but it has not indicated that it is canceling fall sports. So the reason why I say that is because with the SWAC having the luxury of having a plan early on, and we always talk about, kind of one of the, and let me kind of go off because, one of the so-called the negativity or some of the negative comments that people would make, I think it kind of, would go along the lines of negative stereotypes, would be how we didn't necessarily plan like we needed to plan. Well, to his credit, Charles McClellan had a plan a month ago. And the plan is to cancel all fall sports if we can't get anything going by October 17th. So here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. And this is just speculation. Because of Brent McMurphy making that report, I think we pretty much were all kind of under the indication that the SWAC was probably going to announce that it was going to postpone sports for the fall. But because it has the luxury of a 3-month window, and we know that the MEAC isn't going to be playing football, don't be surprised at all if the SWAC announces on Monday that they're not going to cancel fall sports, but that As it stands now, they're just simply going to go to an all-conference schedule. I'm not saying that they're going to do it to spite Brett McMurphy. I'm just simply saying that they still have the ability to say, you know what? Let's see how things go over the next month or two. We can go ahead and come up with the plan to go with a all-conference schedule. And if things look like they're not going to pan out, we'll just cancel the season. I'm not necessarily saying that that's the right thing to do. I want to make that clear. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. But what I'm saying is that if the SWAC decided to do that, they've got the fact that they put in place a month ago that the drop dead date was October 17th. If they decide to just go ahead and say, you know what, as it stands now, given the fact that the MEAC isn't going to play and a lot of these teams aren't going to have, we're just not going to have we're not going to have an out of conference schedule. We'll just go ahead and play a all conference schedule. And if things appear as if they're not going to work out, we just cancel. Nothing's lost. What do you guys think? I'm interested in your feedback. I know some of you will. Trent, let me see you. I guess you're talking about Brett. He used to cover college sports for ESPN. He moved over to the stadium a couple of years ago. He's well connected, but I've never known him to cover HBCUs. Yeah, I'm not questioning his credentials. I'm not, and I'm not necessarily saying he's wrong. But for the commissioner and Grambling and Southern to all come out and say that report is inaccurate, well, that says a lot to me, because I think and I say that because the SWAC has got some the SWAC has got some flexibility in this, and I understand that some of you may not necessarily like that. This may not be comfortable with that, but it still falls within the initial framework that Commissioner McClellan stated a month ago about the drop dead date of October 17th. And if the SWAC Council of Presidents and the commissioner come to the conclusion and say, you know what, can't play non-conference football, not necessarily in the best interest to do, but given what we had to work with, and if there is a possibility that we can still play fall sports in the fall, then they'll just make it a non-conference. They will make the announcement that it will be a conference-only schedule, and they will continue to monitor how we go with this pandemic and whether or not people are going to be knuckleheads and not wear masks or wear masks. And if they decide it's just not worth it, they just won't do it. And guess what? It falls within the plan. Not saying you have to like it, but it falls within the plan. Dwight Moore, yep, control our own narrative and storyline. Forget him positioning himself as one who broke the story. You know what, Dwight? We've seen this happen before. With and again, I'm not saying that Brent McMurphy is wrong. That remains to be seen at this point. There's a lot of that can happen between now and Monday. And I guess if that report had come out and no one had said anything, if we didn't hear anything from Charles McClellan, I guess we really wouldn't have any reason to question it, nor will we have reason to talk about it right now, right? But again, the fact that you got the SWAC commissioner, you got an official statement from Grambling, and you got Roman Banks on record stating that nothing has been decided yet. I think that's something that you have to consider. And depending on what happens Monday, it's gonna say a lot. It really is. Jay, I think it will be an only conference schedule. Yeah, well, like I said, if that happens, it would fall within the framework that the conference presented when it indicated that it was, it would still go within the guidelines of the drop dead date of October 17th. Jay, you got a lot to say, huh? It has already been decided visiting bands won't travel, so it could provide more room for football teams to travel without being cramped up. Yeah, I've heard that. How do you social distance with bands, right? I get that, and but to be honest with you, I'm not necessarily certain that if these games are played, even if they do play football, I don't know if we are going to be in a position where we could possibly have people in the stands. I guess at this point, maybe, stream. I wouldn't say TV revenue, but there's still, I guess, money to be made through streaming. I don't know what the details are. I have no idea how that works. If there are going to be games played and if people are going to be present, obviously those numbers will be limited. But there is one thing that I found particularly interesting, and I want to go back if it's okay with respect to. You know what, Ronnie? I was just about to talk about Ronnie Bell. I wonder if the MEAC will have any influence on the decision. I was actually going to kind of go with that, Ronnie, because to be quite honest with you, people are kind of, I think, are under the impression that since the MEAC made that decision on Friday, that but yesterday that or Thursday, whenever it was, that about the MEAC canceling the fall sports, that this immediately prompted the SWAC to call this meeting on Monday. That is not true. This meeting was already in the books, according to McClellan, about a week to a week and a half ago. This meeting was already scheduled before the MEAC made the decision to cancel fall sports. So I think that's important. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I really do believe that, given what little I know, there really is a part of me that believes that the SWAC really doesn't know what it's going to do. It's easy to assume that the conference is going to, it's easy to just assume that that the conference is going to cancel sports because everyone else is canceling. But I really do believe that at this point, Charles McClellan doesn't know what the presidents are going to do or what they're going to say or how they're going to vote. And if, in fact, that report is false, like I said, we'll find out on Monday. What's up, Stephen? If the presidents have a position on whether to play, delay, or cancel the season, they shouldn't base that on one-upping a reporter who announced prematurely. Stick to whether you know what? That's me saying that, Stephen. I'm not saying that they're going to do that. I want to make that clear. I'm not. That's just me and me just kind of looking at this on the outside. I am not trying to imply that Charles McClellan or the SWAC Council of Presidents are going to purposely make a decision based upon that reporter. I'm not trying to imply that. And if that came across, I apologize. That is not what I'm trying to say. That's me stating that I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to. That's just me and my own way of thinking. Maybe there's a part of me that if I was commissioner, maybe I guess I'm proof that I'm probably not suitable to be a commissioner, right? But I guess there's a part of me that states that if a report is untrue, very rarely do you see. If it really is untrue, you don't see. You will see conferences or spokesmen. Like, for instance, we saw this happen with not too long ago with the SIAC, when a report surfaced that it was going to cancel, and they made it clear that nothing had been done yet, and only to find out it wasn't just the SIAC that canceled; it was the CIAA that also. It was basically a joint decision. So that's something to consider. Let me see. Dwight, you got a lot to say today, brother. I wouldn't have any issues with them leaving him with yolk on his face and cancel like that. Well, let me say this. Like I said, I'm not trying to imply that they're doing my point was that keep in mind, the SWAC had this agreement had this understanding in place a month ago that October 17th will be the drop dead date. I really am of the belief. Now, I personally feel that they just say, we just let it go. But we've got presidents, athletic directors, a conference commissioner who, if they decide to make that decision and, the student athlete comes first, these are students, these are human beings. These are, this is somebody's child that we're talking about here. But make no mistake about it. And I don't, I feel kind of, on edge, try to bring finances on this, but make no mistake about it. If the conference makes the decision to cancel fall sports, some schools are going to pay a price financially. And the presidents, athletic directors, and everyone else responsible for managing these athletic departments are going to have a responsibility. They're going to have to make some decisions, because when it's all said and done and this is all over, we're going to be holding these individuals accountable for the decisions that they make. So it's easy to say we need to cancel. I'm one of them who said, let's just cancel. But I fully appreciate the position that they are in, because once they say we've got to cancel, they got to start making a plan as to what we're going to do for the following year. And let's just say we decide, well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to, play these fall sports in the spring. But that creates a logistical nightmare. Because what do you do with the spring sports that are supposed to be played in the spring? And for those individuals who use the same facilities for various type of sports, I mean, that's, let's not take this decision for granted. It's not an easy one. It's not. Kimberly Masters, I definitely don't think the MEAC's decision to cancel their season influences the SWAC football season. Their conference is now 2 schools short, so their decision may be strategic to make adjustments due to BCU and FAMU joining the SWAC. I can't say anything about that. There may be something to that. Wow. Well said. Ronnie Bell, you may have addressed this. How would this affect the incoming freshman scholarships? Again, Ronnie, it would. So here's the thing. We've heard several programs who've made decisions to cancel sports and so forth talk about, we're going to maintain scholarships and so forth. And I don't know if that's necessarily a given. I really don't know, because you're talking about, how this is going to impact incoming freshmen. I've heard people ask, well, if you cancel fall sports, how does it impact individuals who are currently on scholarship who won't get a chance to play? Will they be able to, do they lose that year, that final year of eligibility? If they want to come back and play, if they can't play at all, will they be allowed to do so? And if you're going to honor those additional scholarships, knowing that you've got incoming freshmen coming in, then guess what? That's an additional expense that, again, somebody's got to pay for that money. You're going to pay for the scholarship of a senior who loses an eligibility at no fault of his own, and he can't come back or would like to come back. And then at the same time, you got an incoming freshman who's been offered a scholarship. That's extra money. And again, that's why these decisions As easy as it may be, or to simply say we need to cancel fall sports because we need to be concerned about the safety, which is true. But for the individuals who are in positions to oversee these departments, there is a impact. There is a financial impact that's going to happen as a result of that. John Robinson, what's up, brother? Not even the big schools will play in the spring. They will be trying to get ready for the next fall. Well, I mean, that's fine, John, but, there's still some big schools that are still determined to play in the fall. I still see this as a geographic, how we value football just simply based upon geographically, how we value football geographically. Ivy League didn't have a problem canceling football. Now, granted, you can say what you will about the endowments and so forth. It's not going to hurt the Ivy League, but don't think the Ivy League doesn't look at the business aspect of collegiate athletics. Let's do that. Tennessee State didn't cancel football. They just said we're going to play an all-conference schedule. And I'm guessing Tennessee State is going to stick to that plan until they have reason to believe that they can't even play an all-conference schedule, until they can't play football at all. The Power 5 schools have not indicated that they're not going to play fall football. Somebody's going to try to play. Somebody's going to try to play in the fall. I really do believe that. I really do. Whether they should or shouldn't, somebody's going to try to play football in the fall. One of those Power 5 conferences are going to try to play some football in the fall. I really do believe that. Let's see. Rue, what's up, brother? If there's no football, you will potentially have staff cuts and programs getting cut due to no resources. Again, yeah, that is the, those are the things that unfortunately are going to come with the decision to cancel fall sports. This is something that, and it kind of goes beyond that, man. I mean, it's a hard thing. Dwight Moore, geographical, economical. I guess you're talking about the. You know what? Look, it's all we know. It's all about economics. It's about economics everywhere. But what I'm saying is that the schools who have yet to indicate that they're not going to cancel sports, the SEC, I'm not. I want to be careful. I'm not trying to group the SWAC in with the SEC, but I guess I look at this. Forget the college level. We still, from what I understand, we still have high school organizations in various states still dead set on trying to play football in the fall. Correct me if I'm wrong, some of you. They're still trying to come up with modified plans in Texas, Louisiana, I believe it was Georgia. They're still trying to come up with modified plans to play fall sports. I don't know what the case may be in other states. All I'm saying is that I think there is something to be said about the Southern culture and how much it values football. I don't think I'm off track by saying that. I really don't. What's up, Stephen? If you don't honor the scholarships promised to 2020 incoming freshmen, it could be a huge hit to your financial recruiting. Also, since these kids signed binding scholarship agreements, there may be legal ramifications if you don't honor the scholarships. Again, I'm not an AD, and I get all that. But again, that money's got to come from somewhere. And if the money isn't going to come from playing football, what are you going to do? It might there be, you might know this better than I do. I mean, might there be a clause that say that, in situations like this, would that be, would those programs be off the hook? Would this be considered one of those act of God clauses? If you consider this an act of God, would this be one of those cases to where they wouldn't necessarily have to honor those scholarships? And I'm not saying that they will, because that'd be horrible. It's one thing to want to do it. It's one thing to want to do it. It's another thing to have the financial means to be able to do it. Yeah, and I think we know. And I think, and if I'm not mistaken, I read in one of those statements, one of those reports that Charles McClellan stated earlier, he said that, that one of the issues or one of the challenges with the SWAC schools is that everybody doesn't have the necessary resources that would be required to do, testing on a regular basis, if I understood him correctly. Those are valid concerns. But then at the same time, I was on Reggie Flood's show yesterday, and we talked about this. And many of you probably know this. All HBCUs aren't created equally. There are some HBCUs that can do more than others. We all know this. And there are some HBCUs in the SWAC that are capable of doing just a little bit more than others can. So again, it's a, it's going to be difficult. And, so, I feel for the individuals. I mean, obviously the right thing to do when it's all said and done, we just, I'm going to go on the record. I think we just need to end fall sports because I don't see this possibly correcting itself in a time frame that will allow individuals to work out. I'm hoping those SWAC schools are working out because, we saw A&T and FAMU, call them players in it to work out. And you saw what happened with that. Please tell me that nobody is in the SWAC has called students in to work out. Chris Tucker, what happened to we care about our students? Who said we didn't care about the students, Chris Tucker? I don't understand. Who said that no one cared about the students? I'll be honest with you. For those individuals who, and I really mean this, I think some just care more than others. I don't think there isn't a school here that doesn't care. There isn't a school that doesn't care about student athletes. But I do believe some care more than others. But when you force schools, when you have students to come in for a workout and you have them to sign waivers, I believe that some of these programs love football so much. Because they love football so much, they're going to do whatever they can to take care of those student athletes because they love football so much. So as a result, they're forced to care for those student athletes. But I don't ever recall anybody stating that they didn't care about the student athletes. I just believe that some schools care more than others. Travis, all schools will eventually cancel. There's no way to do this. Social distancing is supposed to be in place according to the CDC. Someone will have contracted COVID before football training camp is even over and before the game is played. Well, we've seen it happen, right? We've seen it happen. And again, no one really knows what is going to happen a month from now. But given what we've seen right now, we got folks stuck on stupid right now. Despite it being a fact, a medical fact by the CDC and other experts that wearing masks would help. We've got mayors in the state of Georgia trying to enforce a mandatory mask policy, but yet we got the governor trying to sue the mayor saying you can't enforce that. So who does that? I don't get that. You like that rule? Kenn Rashad after dark. It's 12:31. That's all right. Let me see. Rhonda, what's different between high school football and college football, playing games or not playing games? There's no different, because look, I think this has already been addressed. Whether football is played at the high school level or the college level, it's all about the money. It's all about economics. In Texas, we have the UIL. In Louisiana, they have the LH, the Louisiana High School Athletic Association, LHSAA. I don't know what they call them in any other states. I'm guessing, but Mississippi, whatever the governing body is for high school athletics in those in any given state, it's all about money. This is so that the only reason why this is even an issue, do we play or do we not play, is because everyone knows there is money that will potentially be lost or forfeited if you don't play. It shouldn't be that hard. I get it. But, I guess I look at, the UIL will be okay. I don't know about Louisiana High School. The UIL, will be okay. The UIL will be okay. But with respect to HBCUs, and believe me, I'm really careful about this woe is me type mentality that the mainstream outlets tend to put on HBCUs about their inability to do certain things because they're so financially strapped. And I just think that a lot of that is just, excuse the expression, just a lot of bullshit. HBCUs have their own unique set of problems, but don't just put a particular problem on HBCUs as if it doesn't, or as if it isn't going to impact any other mainstream facility or program. The SWAC and MEAC are both members with respect to football, are Division I members, but with respect to football are FCS institutions. But don't sit up here and tell me that the MEAC and the SWAC are any different from the Southland, the Southern Conference, the Ohio Valley with respect to having these problems by not playing football. It is the same. May not impact everybody the same way, but believe me, they are going to hurt. We have seen reports of Power 5 schools indicating the impact it's going to have. And we have seen where Power 5 schools, Stanford is one of them, they are dropping programs. People are being furloughed. Staffs are being reduced. We are seeing this happen. So, but my point is that, but you will see somebody saying COVID-19 is going to impact the HBCUs, blah, blah, blah. What are they going to do? Woe is us. And that's just bullshit. That's what I'm saying. We are not so damn down and out that we can't conduct regular business or just make regular decisions. We've proven that. The CIAA, the SIAC, the MEAC, they did what they felt was best for their membership and their schools. They didn't just say, "Oh, woe was us." Howard's president is I forgot the term, but basically is the chairman of the MEAC president council, and just during a press conference made it clear that the decision, and he just flat out said it, and he's a doctor, by the way. And if you read that MEAC statement, I want you guys to go back and read that MEAC statement. We posted that statement on the website. They made it very clear that given how COVID-19 impacts the African American community, that was kind of one of those things that they just couldn't ignore. And when someone asked, how is this going to impact the MEAC financially? You know what he said? We didn't even think about it. And I believe him. We know it's going to impact those member schools. But let's be careful with the narrative that many of these mainstream outlets put on HBCUs. Yes, some of these reports are valid. Again, everybody's going to take a hit. Everybody's going to take a hit. Some will feel the impact greater than others. But let's just be careful with the woe is me, the narrative that many of these mainstream outlets try to report as if HBCUs are just going to die on a vine simply because they can't play some damn football. That's an insult to me, personally, as an HBCU graduate and as a person who has a son attending an HBCU. That's an insult. So be careful with that. Let's see. Basketball can push out. Basketball is kind of tricky because it starts in the winter. It's a winter sport that kind of goes into spring. But you're going to have to make some adjustments because, that was kind of one of those questions that was brought up during the MEAC press conference. Basketball is kind of one of those sports. It's just starting as school or the fall semester is ending. And with the semesters in the truncated semesters that they, I think a lot of these semesters are starting early and they're ending late. Many of them are like literally ending classes the week of Thanksgiving. And, typically basketball is kind of like just ramping up around that time. So, that's it can be moved, but they're going to have to make some modifications. If many of these conferences plan on playing fall sports during the spring, man, you're going to have to make some heavy modifications. Trying to play volleyball and basketball at the same time, man, soccer and football. What do you do? Especially if they share the same facilities. How do you arrange that? Rhonda, why did FAMU and North Carolina, why were they practicing? You know what? I would love to know why. I spoke about that the other night. Given what we heard about COVID-19 cases spiking up at Clemson and at Alabama and at LSU and at Texas and the University of Houston and God knows what other program out there. I don't know what North Carolina A&T and FAMU thought that they could do that was differently than anybody else. That's a damn good question. I would love to know that. And again, I'd like to know if anyone knows, were those student athletes required to sign a waiver? I'd like to know that. I hope that wasn't the case. But that was a great question, Rhonda. I'd like to know that too. You got to sign waivers, Ken. You can't trust those kids. Well, man, we'll see. I get you. I hear you. And all the more reason, if that's the mentality that they have to make kids sign waivers because they can't be trusted, then damn it, you don't bring them on campus in the first place because you know they can't be trusted. If that's the case, we're dealing with kids here. And as we've seen this uptick in COVID-19 cases, I think I saw a report somewhere that, the average age of individuals who are testing positive for 15 years younger than what we saw initially when the outbreak took place in March. So yeah, kids are being kids. They're not listening. What else is new? They're not taking it seriously. So to your point, if they're signing waivers because they know kids are going to be kids, I'm paraphrasing what you said, then you don't invite them into camp. But I hear you. I don't disagree with why they did it. I'm just saying that for that same reason, that's the reason why you don't do it. Karen Brantley Blunt, SEC will honor scholarships to any football player who opts not to play for the fall of 2020. Well, the SEC can do that. And its member institutions can do that. I was listening to Reggie Flood's show today, and he had a caller that called in, and he said something that SEC, the University of Tennessee was spending something like $36,000 or $33,000 a week on expenses for the student athletes to work out. Something outrageous, I don't know how accurate it was, but it doesn't surprise me. The SEC can do that. The SEC is going to be fine. I'm not worried about the SEC. I'm not worried about any of those Power 5 schools. The NCAA isn't worried about any of the Power 5 schools. But if I'm a parent who has a son that attends a Power 5 schools, I'd be concerned. I'd be asking questions. I'm just saying. Dwight. High school parents are pushing for it also based on dreams for their sons to Big Five. I get it, man. So you're saying the parents are pushing it too? Why doesn't that surprise me? That's not. I don't deny that. I live in Texas. I've been living in Texas for over 20 years. And I had two sons that go to high school in Texas. One played football. And I swear, before he started playing football, I used to hear some of these rumors that I thought were just, I'm like, you know what? There's no way. I don't believe that. I don't believe this. Look, I know Texas is big on high school football. I don't believe that. Then I started getting into those meetings and those parent meetings and started talking to some of those boosters and hearing some of the things that they were doing with their sons and hearing these rumors about what these coaches were doing. And then to actually see what these coaches were doing with my own eyes, I was like, wow. So, John, I don't deny it. Dwight, I don't. You know, parents use those kids as a meal ticket, unfortunately. Let me see here. John, you got a lot to say, man. I need to talk to you, man. How things going out there in my hometown in L.A.? That's what I need to know. I mean, y'all damn near on lockdown right about now, right? HBCUs, FCS will hunt. P5 schools got billions of dollars boosters to replace that money. Stanford is lying. They got money. They just using this pandemic to cut too many sports without any pushback. You know what, John? They cut like 11 sports. Wasn't it like rowing? I don't even know what the sports were. Rowing and synchronized swimming. I'm not trying to. I'm just saying. Again, I'm not worried about Stanford either. I get it. I get it. Let's see. John, you think if football is canceled, they will just wait until fall 21? That would be the logical thing to do, brother. But, these programs got annual budgets that they got to address. Fall 21 doesn't do anything for the budget for 2021 annual budget. I'm just saying. I don't disagree with the logic. That would be, on the surface, the right thing to do. But they can't ignore the budgets, man. That's ignoring the budget this year might not make it possible for you to have football in 2021. I'm just saying. Something to consider. Let's see. UCLA suspended workouts till August. Okay. They really don't have a choice at this point, right? California's going crazy. So anyway, man, it is 12:44. Look, I appreciate you guys taking the time out to listen to me rant. Let me see. What's who? Is that Laquita? Is that you? Hey, Laquita. And my friend Laquita, man, one of the nicest people ever. Just as sweet as all get out. She went to Southern, but she all right. You Southern folks are all right with me. I got to take a jab. Let's see. Arizona State only had 2 positives. They are still running and lifting. Okay, man. I don't know what to say to that. They're gonna make. Look, these Power Fives, the Power Five conferences, like I said, they are determined to play. They're gonna do whatever they can. That's not surprising. That's it's the Pac-12, man. Hello, and I enjoy your Natalie. Oh, so Nat. You talking to me now? Oh, wow. You know what? Rhonda, I just got the news about John Lewis. Man, you talk about a legend who passed at the 80 years old. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, didn't I hear C.T. Vivian pass tonight too on the same day? So, yeah, Natalie, if you didn't hear, I think C.T. Vivian also passed today, if I'm not mistaken. I think I read that somewhere. So, man, just John Lewis, I literally, you all the things that were said about the civil rights movement and Martin Luther King being the historic figure that he was, John Lewis, there are only him and Andrew Young are kind of like the only two individuals that you still kind of, in real time talk about the civil rights movement through the lens and in the way that they speak about those times, having to see them and hear them talk about what they experienced, man. So, that's just crazy. Rube, you're right, man. 2020 is crazy, man. This 2020 can't get away fast enough. I mean, this is July. Kobe dead, pandemic. We heard what? Killer hornets. I don't know how true that was, but then this damn pandemic, knuckleheads in key positions of power, name the state or name the country, but I'm gonna leave it at that. 2020 can't get away fast enough. And hopefully none of this will linger into 2021, even though I think that may be asking a lot given what we're going through right now. So, wow, you guys are still coming in. What's up, Ronnie Bell? If they cancel fall sports, guess we will have to watch some games from the past year. Man, I'm tired of looking at games from the past year. I've seen more YouTube videos of games on BET than I care. Then I care to believe, man, good grief. I mean, it was fun to watch for a while, but after a while you be like, okay, I don't need this anymore. I've been watching games on BET and, ESPN's been playing old games, and some of them have been kind of cool to watch, but after a while, man, you get enough of this. All right. Man, I thought man, there's a lot of y'all on right now. I knew y'all wouldn't be asleep. Some of y'all try to clown your boy about coming up here, popping up on midnight, trying to do these things. But y'all be up with me, and I be seeing y'all putting y'all little comments out there on Facebook and on social media. Y'all know doggone well y'all be up there trying to clown me, man. What's up, Mo? Biggest villain of 20, COVID-19, and Carol Baskin. I hear you. I got you. I know that's right. Let me see. Lake Show about to win number 17, 2020 will be savaged. You know how I feel about that. Reggie Flood clowned me yesterday about that. He was talking about the Lake Show. And, I'm not saying, if they win, I can't sit up here and tell you I'm going to enjoy it, Stephen, like you might. I can't. Be bittersweet. You can call me a hater all you want. But if they don't win, you know what? You know I'm going to blame if they don't win. There's no excuse for them not to win this year. But if they don't, you know what I'm going to do. I think Flood called him Lebanon James. Hey man, I'm not hating on LeBron James, okay? I got mad respect for LeBron James, the entrepreneur, the philanthropist, and everything else he does. I'm just not a big fan of LeBron James, the basketball player. And I have nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. And I don't feel no shame in saying that. So anyway, look, man, I'm going to get out. I appreciate you guys staying up, man. You guys, please stay safe. By all means, continue to, wear your mask. Don't be a knucklehead, man. Don't allow folks to talk you out of doing the things that you know is right. We've been hearing these folks say, we're all in this together. That's bullshit. We're not in this together, because if we were in this together, we wouldn't be in this situation right now. We're not in this together. But continue to do, if it means having to encourage somebody to do it, do the right thing, man. Protect yourselves, protect your families, protect your loved ones, and let's try to get through this, man, because I'm sick of staying in this house. My wife is making masks and out there in that wood shop. She's getting on my nerves. I'm just telling you that right now. I love her, but she makes me another mask. All right? Y'all don't tell her I said this. Hey, man, I'm going to call it a night. But again, thank you guys for taking the time to listen, and we'll see you next time. Good night.